In this video, we're going to find out what once was a top-tier graphics card over 10 years ago, GTX 580, could do in SLI in 2021. But before that, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe down below, and thank you for watching. Now, before I go on with this video, I'd like to ask everyone for a small favor. Please go ahead and hit the like button down below. It really helps to grow the channel, and I appreciate it very much. Also, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing as I have many videos to view. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Now, as I mentioned, that these cards are over 10 years old, and back in its day, the GTX 580 was pretty much the top tier card for Nvidia, aside from a GTX 590, which were basically two GPUs in one, and they're only good for SLI anyways. But these two cards here are a bit on a rare side. They both have 3 GB of VRAM. Now, most of the cards you've seen in the past reviewed and in most recent years are 1.5 gig versions. So it should be interesting what two of the 3 GB versions here could do in SLI mode. Now, these things are pretty power hungry, and the requirements just to run one, it says 600 watt or greater power supply needed. Now, in my opinion, that's cutting it close for this bad boy. And I would recommend at least a 750 or higher just to run one of these to be comfortable, because they are power hungry. And to run two, definitely over 1,000 watts. In my case, I'm going to be using a 1200 watt power supply just to keep it safe and to get the best possible results in SLI. Now, unfortunately, the 500 series cards are no longer taking new drivers, I believe, since 2018, and now it looks like the case for the 600 and 700 series in a few more months are no longer going to be taking the new drivers either. So it should be interesting. We're going to be running some of the older games in most cases here, but it should be interesting what we could get out of these old cards. Now, these are two different variants, but pretty much the same. One is made by EVGA, the other one is by Zotac. Both have 3 gigs of VRAM, base clock 7700 megahertz, memory clock 4008 megahertz, CUDA cores 512, and PCI Express 2.0. That's right, these were the last generation on Nvidia's end to support PCI Express 2.0, as the next generation finally started to support 3.0. So that should be still fine in some of my tests today. Also, this is a 384-bit bus, and they do support 2 DVI and 1 mini HDMI connection on both. Like I said, they're both pretty much identical. So we'll see. We'll see how well these bad boys perform. I'm really curious what they could do. So all there's left to do is jump into some gaming test benchmarks and see how well they perform. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so the first game I'm going to test here is Resident Evil 3 Remake, an excellent game that supports SLI. So let me show you the settings. Okay, we're on 1080p. Normal rendering, VSync off, and as you could see, we're right about under the threshold. Again, these two graphics cards are GTX 580 3 GB version, so I have up to 3 gigs of VRAM to play with. Now, of course, I could go over that, but for the best overall experience, you want to stay just right under the 3 gig threshold. And these are pretty good settings. These are, as you could see, I am on high settings. And still, to play with these settings, you do need a pretty advanced graphics card nowadays. So these are not really like really low settings. I would say these are like high 1080p settings. Not too shabby at all. And the results I'm getting are pretty good in my opinion. So let me go over the system specs. As you could see, I'm using my i7 8700K build clocked at 5 gigahertz, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM running at 3600 megahertz, And as you could see, yes, those are GTX 580s and not RX 580s. That's right, these suckers are almost 11 years old. And you could see that the SLI is working perfect, utilizing both cards around 90% or so, more or less, depends on the area. And we're averaging around 60 FPS at a very good settings, detailed. The game looks fantastic. And again, guys, if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. If you like this content, share it. Help me out here. It seems like YouTube doesn't like me and they just don't show these videos at all. I'll probably get like 10 views in a month from this video here, which is very unfortunate because I do spend quite a bit of time making these videos. And again, this is the reason why a lot of games don't support SLI, and really Nvidia pretty much did everything possible to get rid of this special feature, including their latest cards, starting from the the RTX series. Only the really top end ones support SLI, and not that many games either, because they don't want you to rock 10-year-old graphics cards and still be able to play modern games at good settings. This is exactly why, and that's unfortunate. And nobody's really gonna show you this. People say SLI is dead. Of course it's dead, because Nvidia made it like that. They don't want you to rock out cards for all this time. How they gonna make money, right? They want you to buy every so many years newer cards, spend $500,000, $600,000 just to play games that you could play on a console for a fraction of a price. That really is not right, in my opinion. Very nice. Now, of course, you can lower down the settings on 1080p and get you averaging around 80 FPS. I mean, the sky is the limit. I just wanted to show you that this game runs really good on, in my opinion, on high settings with good FPS. The temperatures are good. Of course, being that the both cards are blower style, I do have the cards profiled running at 65% speed on the fan the whole time to keep the temperatures cool, and you can see the temperatures are pretty good. 70 on the top card and 57. That's really good for old cards like this. And again, I didn't even change the thermal paste. These suckers are all original, never been opened, and they even have dust in the fan. I didn't even blow it out at all. Right now I don't have a can of air, but I would have done that. Okay, so that's Resident Evil 3. Let's see what the next game here, so stay tuned. Now, Devil May Cry 5, yet another great example of SLI working. So let's take a look at the settings. And as you could see, we're on 1080p full screen. These are fully maxed out settings. That's right, ultra. Everything is turned on. Maxed out settings. And normal rendering, by the way. And again, even today, with some of the lower end model cards, you're still going to need a pretty decent graphics card to run it on fully maxed settings with decent FPS. Now, this game and Resident Evil 3 Remake do require a Nvidia inspector and a profile to get the SLI to work. Now, it's very easy to do, and I actually have plenty of videos in the past on my channel how to get the Nvidia inspector as well as the profiles for those games. But you could see for old cards like this, now I know that this game is not the newest, it's now 2-3 years old or so, but nevertheless, in my opinion, SLI is working really well here, and I'm happy overall of the performance. Let me know what you guys think. Now, of course, if I tone down the settings, we will get a higher average, of course, 80, 100 FPS, whatever is necessary. But nevertheless, I think to have this game maxed out on 1080p with these old suckers is impressive. Alright, so that is it for Devil May Cry. Let's go on to the next game. Now, Grand Theft Auto 5 may be one of the best games ever to support SLI with really fantastic results. So let's take a look at the settings here. Now, I want you guys to pay attention. I have this game here fully maxed out on 1080p, and I challenge you out there who have this game, see what kind of FPS you could get with a modern single graphics card at 1080p, every single option maxed out. Now, we're starting off with the advanced graphics, every option maxed out, you could see that, and every little thing here is on. Now let's move into the actual graphics settings. Again, here are the settings. Let's go over them. 1080p full screen, every option again maxed out. And we are going over the 6 gigs of VRAM. Now again, I did mention that this game is one of the best, if not the best, SLI supporter, and it actually allows you to stack the VRAM. So we are now at almost 7.5 gigs of VRAM over the threshold in order to max this game out. So let's take a look here. Every single option, that's it. Reflection is on, max, everything. Nvidia PCSS for soft shadows, everything. You see that. Still with modern graphics cards, and I'm not talking about the high-end ones, it's still going to be tough to max this game out on 1080p to get, you know, playable FPS. And this is what we got here. The game looks fantastic, I'm telling you. When this game is fully maxed out on 1080p on PC, it looks great. You just can't compare it to a platform system, in my opinion. Everything is utilized. You can see we're at 90s on the graphics cards. Really good. Now, of course, I just tweaked the settings, turn them lower, and I could be rocking this game way over 100 FPS with still high settings on 1080p. And the game looks great. Even with me recording it with the camera, you could see how well the details are.
Get over yourself.
Ah yes, the power of SLI.
Is this really happening? Oh God!
Alright, so that wraps it up for this game. I have one more game left to show you in this video.
Oh shit!
So let's take a look. what we have left on my list. Smooth. No stuttering, no nothing. Now, as I'm wrapping up this video, the final game here is Far Cry New Dawn, and yes, the SLI works on it as well. Now, this one does support SLI naturally without any modifications as long as you run this game on DirectX 11. So let's take a look at the settings. As you could see, 1080p full screen. Now for the best results I have here, ultra settings. There it is. It's pretty much maxed out on everything except motion blur off and HD textures. And the game looks fantastic. Pretty impressive in my opinion for this game being on ultra settings. As you could see, the GPUs are both being utilized, and the game is definitely one of the better performers with SLI. Now, I could definitely say that two of these 583 gigabyte variants running an SLI would be better than running a single GTX 590 in SLI, because you're only are limited to 1.5 gigs of VRAM, which I also reviewed, and I have some videos years back on those test results. So if you like this video, please leave some comments down below. Also, I'll have some following up some other single game videos with this setup to do some further testing. There are a lot of games that support SLI. Unfortunately, they did cut off the drivers for this back in 2018, and there are some games that were after 2018 that support the SLI, but unfortunately they do require newer drivers, so that kind of sucks. But that's unfortunate, because the 580 still is a beast in my opinion. You be the judge. Let me know what you guys think. Share this video, hit the like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.